And hello, friends. It's been too long.
It has.
And it's almost training camp time, so you know what? We should happy half hour.
We should. I need training camp to get here, Darin.
Why?
Like, I need it to get here. I am so locked into this, like, Love Island social media bubble that I have now turned on notifications on Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. Like, who am I?
Are you 11?
I feel like it, and I'm like, why am I so obsessed with a bunch of 24-year-old reality stars? I need a bunch of, like, I guess 24-year-old NFL players to take my time back up.
That's right.
I need to shift my focus for sure.
All
that to say, I'm ready for training camp to get here.
It really is that time, and I got to tell you, my wife is learning the rhythms of this thing, and she has now recognized that I reached this point about the middle of July where I'm already thinking about training camp and planning, and you know, and it's like he can no longer relax. It is time to go back to work, and it is. You know, we are sitting here on Wednesday afternoon. And we've got a lot of stuff coming your way. It all starts up in earnest next Monday when rookies report, vets report on Tuesday, and Wednesday off we go. It is training camp time, and all those abstract concepts we've been talking about all off season become real, tangible things, and we get to see the football.
Yeah, and they're going to hit the ground running right away in that first week. I think like 4 days on the field, which is good. You know, like we said, at this point in the summer, we all need to touch grass, and we're going to touch it on the practice field.
Yeah, and I think so, and it's going to be an exciting time. And we understand this training camp's going to be a little bit different because of the construction, going to work on the indoor facility behind the practice fields. Not going to be any fans, but here's the thing, and I wanted to come right out of the top and tell you guys, we got plans for a lot of cool stuff this summer for you here at Panthers.com and on the YouTube channel and all of our properties. And the one thing I can tell you right here from this spot as we practice filming this thing with cameras and everything, you're used to the happy half hour only coming in your ears. We're going to do this video throughout training camp. We're going to go happy half hour daily, every day during training camp.
You need a daily happy half hour
Why not?
to get through training camp.
Why not? You're a masochist. You want this every day. We're gonna crank one of these out every day in addition to the stories at Panthers.com and everything else. The goal is to have this in your ears on your ride home.
Right.
So every day when you're heading home from work, you can check out the latest in Panthers training camp from that morning's practice and everything that's happened. It's going to be a busy camp, and we're looking forward to bringing it to you in a lot of different ways. We got a lot of other cool plans in the department we'll sprinkle out and share with you over the next couple of days. But there's going to be a lot of stuff coming your way, and we understand that you guys depend on us for a lot of your information about training camp, and we take that responsibility seriously, so we want to wrap it up, and we want to bring it to you. And I got to tell you, there is an excitement about this team like there hasn't been in a couple of years. And that's nothing against anything that's happened in the past, but just based on the way the Carolina Panthers finished last season, the last time we saw this football team play a game, Bryce Young put 44 on the board on the Atlanta Falcons and was throwing no-look touchdown passes to Tommy Tremble, and a lot of people are fired up about what's about to happen here.
You've been here for every Panthers offseason, is that correct?
That is correct.
I always tell my parents, like, when people are like, oh, what's the team going to look like this year? And I'm like, I don't answer that question until about 2 or 3 weeks into training camp.
Yeah.
And that's when I start to get obviously you never know for sure because, like, any given Sunday, but you start to get a feel for, like, what a team's identity could be during training camp. Why do you think this offseason feels different than it has maybe the past 5, 6, 7 years?
Well, for one thing, you're carrying positive momentum from last year. They finished strong. The end of the season was much better than the beginning of the season. But I think at a very basic level, there's a stability here.
Yeah.
And not only do you have the same coaching staff from last year, which, you know, is something we haven't been able to take for granted around here for a little bit. And I think, you know, Bryce has talked about that over the course of the offseason, how important it was having Dave Canales, having Brad Idzik, having the same staff, and so much consistency on offense, because basically the entire offense practically is back intact, plus Teteroa McMillan, a first-round wide receiver who's big and tall and can go get it, plus a guy like Rico Dowdle, who was, oh, by the way, a 1,000-yard rusher, who's here to be your backup to Chuba Hubbard this year, and an entire offensive line. It's like, whoa, I mean, suddenly there's expectations. I think the realistic view is the Carolina Panthers are still building, still on their way up, but you can see the steps they've taken, and I think fans are latching on to that.
Do you think some of that, too, could also be because on defense it feels like, and no disrespect to anyone that was here in the past, that everyone works hard to be in the NFL, but it's less stopgap, more foundational?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and just look at what they did this offseason. And we've got stories coming up next couple of days to lead you into training camp. And one of the things that's coming is the guys on that defense talking about, hey, we know we don't want to go back to last year. That was not.
We saw the numbers.
They set all the wrong kinds of records, and they don't want to go back. And Dave Canales don't want them talking about it that much. But the reality is those guys who are back from last year, and there ain't all that many of them, but the ones who are back from last year understand that's kind of the elephant in the room until they put different evidence on tape. But this offseason has been so dramatic when you think about the turnover on defensive personnel. People were running on them. I think, the last 6 games were over 200 rushing yards against, each game, and you just can't sustain anything when you're playing that kind of run defense. Right. So what do? You go out this offseason, boom, first day of free agency, Bobby Brown, Tershawn Wharton, Trayvon Merrick, Christian Roseboom, and Patrick Jones. And there's 5 dudes who are contributors to defense on the first day of free agency. Kind of tells you that Dan Morgan did not want it to be like that anymore.
And that's even a great point because, you want to look at the trenches, but even someone like Trayvon Merrick, I mean, he had, 103 tackles, I think, last year. He was huge in the run defense for the Raiders as well as somebody that can play close to the line. So there was definitely a plan in place, and you saw it get executed.
It's almost like it was on purpose.
Right. We'll see what it looks like on the field.
And if you've seen some of our other properties here, if you've gone through the Blueprint series, I mean, not only the drafting of Tetero McMillan, but the second episode, which really took you through that free agency period, when you see Dan Morgan talk about Bobby Brown at the Combine, you realize, he's locked in. I mean, they wanted a big, solid nose to put between a Derek Brown and an A'Shawn Robinson and really lend that stability to that front line. Tershawn Wharton's a big-time pass rusher from the interior, played on good teams. And the fact that they go out and get a couple of defensive linemen who've got Super Bowl rings on their fingers, that was intentional too.
I did the math the other day. I think there's 6 guys on this team now, and I want to say all on defense that have Super Bowl rings.
Well, plus Austin Corbett.
I think I was counting Kim. 6 and then 5 on defense.
Okay.
Did I say all on defense?
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm sorry, my bad. Yeah, there's I want to say 6 and 5 of them are on defense that have Super Bowl rings.
So Tershawn, Bobby,
A'Shawn,
Roseboom, and
Nick Scott.
There you go. A lot of former Rams, which makes sense. Ejiro Evero brought a bunch of his guys, and they are stabilizing things. We haven't seen, as you go through the OTA season, they're out there running around. It's glorified 7-on-7 a lot of times, but what you can tell just in the way those guys talk about it is how intentional they are being about setting a new standard. Because when last year went the way last year went, you don't want to spend a lot of time thinking about it. So when you look across the board, it's brand new. And that carried through into the draft as well. When you go Nick Scorton, Princely, Emmanuel, and with the 2nd and 3rd round picks, it's like, oh, yeah, this is different for sure.
When they get back out onto the field for training camp next week, and those first 4 days are a lot of, bringing everybody back together. I think they're in the 2nd week before they put pads on. What do you look for as indicators or markers of what are you looking for to figure out who this team can be?
I think you're going to, you see it in the little communication things. You see it in the way guys work together. I think there is some, with putting so many new pieces together on defense, it's going to take a little time for those guys to all get to know each other, for Josie Jewell to know exactly where everybody's going to be when he's lining them up in the huddle, for Trayvon in the secondary to kind of know what to expect out of JC, what to expect out of Mike Jack on the other side. Those guys are still getting to know each other, so that's going to be an ongoing process. But you can kind of tell the way they're coming together based on the spring. I mean, just based on the J.C. Horn and Bryce Young smack talk that's been going on throughout OTAs and minicamp, that was one of the big storylines of the spring. I don't expect that to stop now that it's training camp. I figure they're going to continue to talk to each other that way. But, it's been – I think most of it is a learning process and a communication, so it's how they come together rather than any particular plays people make. When camp comes around, we're going to show you plenty of video highlights where you're going to see diving one-handed catches by Xavier Legette and Tetaroa, and you're going to see Chuba Hubbard doing Chuba Hubbard things. But what happens during training camp is all those pieces kind of come together, and once they understand each other, I mean, being a known commodity is the biggest thing that can happen during that month of time. I mean, just learning each other and getting comfortable in what you're doing, and the combination of having so many people back on offense, coach and staff back, only adds to that and gives them a little forward momentum.
Yeah, I think that's a good things to look for. Exactly. Some of the stuff I like to look for too, and you saw this during OTAs and minicamp, so I want to see how much of it carries over to training camp, is for somebody who works in words, this is going to be hard to describe, but I think you're going to know what I'm trying to say.
You can do this.
You can usually tell if plays, because you're not looking for specific plays in training camp, but you can usually tell if things are being pushed to the point of forced, like I've got to get this, I've got to get this, I've got to get this, or if it feels natural, like, hey, we're just out here seeing what we can do and what we can, like, almost, I guess, take the top off in a sense, but not necessarily even meaning like, oh, go downfield, take the top off.
Right.
But more so just like take the top off of the playbook and like get out here together and figure out what all we can do together. More so like, this sounds so cliche, but like have fun out there and see what they can do as a team versus it feeling forced, like, oh, this is what I have to do today, and I have to make this throw for it to be a successful day.
Yeah.
And you can usually tell that. And then the other thing is, I mean, honestly, just toughness, because at the end of the day, this is still going to come down. This is a trenches game, and there's not going to be full-on tackling. They're going to take care of each other, but there is a certain level of toughness that you usually want to see a team reach in training camp, and they were already getting to that in OTAs, especially with the trash talk and stuff like that.
Yeah, no doubt. And to your point about fun, I think one of the things that's emerging here as a pattern with your Carolina Panthers is there is a little personality emerging here. And again, the Bryce JC thing got a lot of attention during camp, and rightfully so. When your quarterback and your $100 million corner are going back and forth, jawing at each other every day, you know, the fact that I loved when we wrote about this a couple weeks ago. Austin Corbett said he's just sitting there trying to get the line set, protection called, and snap the ball. And he hears his voice over his shoulder say, JC, you're cooked right here. And everybody's kind of taken aback by that. But that's been going on, and it's not just those two. I also remember there was a day toward the end of minicamp where some guys bowed up on each other. There was a little bit of one of those fights, not really fight, but just dudes who were sick of looking at each other kind of bow up on each other. And Rob Hunt jumped between a couple of people who might have otherwise wanted to square off, and Rob started dancing. And for the people who are consuming this podcast in a video form, be very grateful this table is here and you cannot see what's happening with Darin below this level. That's
it was enough of a dance move to draw attention.
Yeah.
Which is the goal, which was his goal.
And so when I talked to Rob about that afterward, he was like, oh, you like that, did you? Yeah, Rob. We all thought that was pretty funny. But Rob's like, he understands that part of his role as a leader on that offensive line is not just be big and massive and plow people down.
Which he does well.
Create lanes for Chuba Hubbard to run through, but to also set the tone. And that's physically, and that's taking the job seriously and not letting distraction level stuff like that get away from you.
Yeah, and you need those guys. You mentioned something about your $100 million corner. Just real quick, because Sauce Gardner got a new deal this week. Man, that JC deal looks like a deal now, don't it?
Yeah, the best time to sign somebody is always yesterday. The next best time is right now. If you want to keep from paying more money. But that's the deal. I mean, and JC has proven to be over the last year or so, and I think he's still one of the more fascinating players to watch going into this camp, because when you look at who the Carolina Panthers have invested in, it's those guys who are tone setters in ways beyond the plays he makes on the field, the passes he breaks up, that kind of stuff. J.C. Horn gets after it, and nobody is ever going to dispute whether he cares about his job or cares about being good at it or cares about changing what this place is all about any more than J.C. Horn. But look across the line. There's Derek Brown. Derek Brown coming off last year's torn meniscus in Game 1, hadn't been out there on the field 100% yet. It may not be when training camp starts. I think they're going to be smart with Derek and ease him into this thing because he's too important. but Derek's presence shows every other guy on the roster, oh, that's how the guy making the most money works. I've got to match his level. And Derek has always been a guy who brings people along with him by working that way. So seeing Derek take on that role, seeing JC do that kind of stuff, see Rob Hunt being the guy who jumps in the middle of those kind of things, that's been interesting. The other one that kind of tickles me is a year ago, they used first-round pick on Xavier Legette.
Yeah.
This year, they used first-round pick on Teteroa McMillan. I think there were people who were anticipating tension, and what we are getting is the opposite of that.
We are getting a buddy cop movie out of these two. Gosh, they're so much fun to watch together. They have fun on the field. They have fun off the field. They encourage each other. They rib each other. They are so different. I don't know if you could have found two more different first-round wide receivers, like personality-wise.
I mean, they are
but
from
they are both very gregarious, and so they're fun.
Two different parts of the world, you know. Teteroa's got that Southern Cal laid-back vibe, you know. XL is XL. He's out there living his best life this offseason, whether he's at hockey games or in Glorilla videos. This excursion they just went on to Minnesota the other day, this tickles me to no end because, A, they're out there working and doing the thing. You know, Bryce gets his guys together. Quarterbacks usually do that and take the lead on that. But they're up in Minnesota at Adam Thielen's home base the other week. And the video of them on the boat.
Oh, my gosh. Darin goes to bed really early. And
I'm an old person. What do you want?
I texted him late last night because I just had to tell him. I was like, you have got to go watch this. Go to the 15-minute mark of this video as soon as you can because I was crying laughing.
I was not disappointed. I mean, if you haven't seen the video, go to Carolina Panthers or go to Panthers.com. Check out the video on there because XL is not comfortable in the water. Much like me, he understands that's a road game.
I don't blame him. You can't see the bottom. That's an alligator's water. That's the fish's the fish's house. You got to be careful.
Yeah. So I'm feeling XL on that, but it's been good, and seeing that kind of camaraderie develop is going to be interesting. And you know who was right there in the middle of it all? Just not really in the middle, but kind of sitting back on the sideline watching all these hijinks.
Bryce Young?
Bryce Young.
Bryce also didn't get in the water. Something XL called him out for.
Yeah. Bryce didn't get in the water. Bryce didn't participate in goat yoga. He's getting there. He's getting after it in his own ways. But
he's an observant fella first.
That's right. And by the way, in case you are consuming this podcast in its video form, which, you know, hey, who wouldn't want?
Right.
Who wouldn't want to? We got toys back here. Look at this setup in this studio. This looks
Darin
great.
Darin is so
in
proud
here.
of his toys.
You
know that Okay, you're probably not on TikTok.
First of all, I'm digging. Look at these screens. We got Happy Half Hour back here on the big screens. You know, this is like professional video here. What are we doing? I feel like David Byrne of the Talking Heads. This is not my beautiful house. What's going on in here? But, yeah, we've got artifacts back here, and I got to show you my newest artifact. Let me pull these headphones off for one quick second.
While he does that, there is a TikTok trend where people are like if it was me and Darin, I'd be like, my boss is going to show you his new toys, and you better like it and be nice in the comments. That's totally us right now. I mean, y'all be nice to Darin about his toys.
That's right. Here we go. I'm back. Darin's got new toys.
It's so cute. The Andy Dalton. I forgot how tiny it was.
Yeah, this is great. My stepdaughter lives. Do what? Hold it in front of me, says Podcast Matt, who's in the back.
He's going to be our director now.
That's right. My stepdaughter lives in Amsterdam, or suburban Amsterdam, Utrecht to be specific, and she was traveling and found this fine item. It is a nesting doll of Carolina Panthers legends, and I want to unfold the whole thing. But here's Bryce Young on the outside. This is amazing. I love this. And if you go 4 layers deep into the middle, you get a little Andy Dalton. Look at that.
Wait, does he have red hair?
Sure, maybe. These are not the most I'd
call that red.
Yeah, accurate descriptions of these people. I mean, the cat head on the side of this helmet's a little bit off, but it's just as adorable as it can be. Little Bryce Young, but all the way from Prague, We have an actual Bryce Young nesting doll set of Carolina Panthers. There's Andy doing a little thing. When I opened this thing up to begin with, I got to be honest with you. There's a little line over here off the side of the 1 and the 14. I thought this was going to be J.J. Jansen. And if there had been a J.J. Jansen in the middle of this nesting doll of Carolina Panthers legends, that would have been the funniest thing I've ever experienced in my entire life.
Now I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
That's right. We might have to do a custom order, kind of like the Podcast Matt bobblehead.
Yeah.
That we just, we're going to try to have a little fun. We may decorate this shelf behind us if we're going to be in this professional podcast studio. We might decorate. We might put some secret treasures up there. You never know.
Are we going to get like how PTI has the Christmas Story leg lamp?
We could.
I'm not saying I have one of those at home, but I'm not saying it.
That's fair
I'm
enough.
saying one could be easily procured.
We've got all kinds of cool toys that we might play with, and that's why we're excited. I mean, I truly am. I think it's going to be cool during training camp. A lot of this stuff happens so immediately, and fans are so starved for information. I'm kind of excited about bringing you guys this podcast every day. We'll wrap up practice each day. We'll tell you about the highlights. We'll talk about the transactions. We'll talk about what we've seen on the field that day, and it's going to be awesome. We are going to start that up next week, so can't wait for you guys to join us. And you know what? Little Bryce or Big Bryce and Little Andy, they might stay with us here in the studio. You never know. We might bring more cool stuff. We've got all kinds of fun things in the back. And I just look forward to you guys coming and sharing it with us. I mean, it's training camp. It's that time. It's time to get back to football, and we're going to do it. So that'll take care of us for this edition of the Happy Half Hour. Tune in next week.
Starting Wednesday?
For Training Camp Daily Happy Half Hour for your ride home. We'll have it ready for you on your way home from work. We're going to have some fun, gang. Let's do it.
We'll see you then.